Hey, history detectives! Ready for an adventure into a little-known corner of African American history? We're heading to Florida, but not for the beaches. We're digging deep into the story of Florida Emancipation Day. Most people know about Juneteenth, but Florida has its own Freedom Day, and it's a story bursting with courage, resilience, and a whole lot of history that deserves to be told. Get ready to unlock Florida's little-known Freedom Day, May 20th. Picture this. The Civil War is raging, and Florida is part of the Confederacy. President Abraham Lincoln says all slaves in Confederate states are free in 1863. But Confederate Florida didn't agree. So, although Lincoln enacted the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863, it took over 2 years for Florida to actually be fully free. Now, here's a mind-blowing fact. Tallahassee, Florida, was the only Confederate capital east of the Mississippi River that never got captured by the Union Army. That meant the enforcing freedom took time. Why? Because the Confederates did not want any of Florida to become free, so their freedom date until months after the Civil War was over. But freedom did arrive. On May 20th, 1865, everything changed. Union General Edward McCook marched into Tallahassee headed to the Knott House and announced that enslaved people in Florida were now free and the Army was there to enforce it. With the backing of the Army, this proclamation freed all enslaved in Florida. Can you imagine the joy? The relief? Boom! Freedom! And they celebrated this moment with vigor. About 60,000 people were finally free in Florida. Let's pull into the historic Knott House, where freedom broke out. The Knott House is located in downtown Tallahassee. Here, Union soldiers were quartered in the home and the Emancipation Proclamation was read. But there's something extra special about the celebrations in Tallahassee. This is where blacks celebrate to the rhythm of freedom drumming. The freedom drumming began in 1865 by Union soldiers who handed over their drums to the newly freed slaves. So, go ahead and create your own freedom drum beat. But remember, not everyone got free on the same day. Some places in Florida, like Key West and St. Augustine, where the Union Army had a strong presence, and smaller remote corners of Florida, were set free as early as January 1, 1863. Getting everyone of African ancestry free in the country was a complicated process. Freedom Day is incredible, but it's important to remember it's not the end of the story. Even after May 20th, black Floridians faced hard times. They had to deal with unjust laws and unequal treatment. Black people kept fighting for full and equal rights. Some of the protests were during the American Civil Rights Movement. The struggle has continued for decades. Today, people all across Florida are working hard to make sure the story of May 20th is remembered. Places like the John Gilmore Riley Museum, the Spady Cultural Heritage Museum, the Florida African American Heritage Preservation Network, and South Florida sites like the Old Dillard Museum and the African American Research Library and Cultural Center are just a few places where you can learn more about this history. So, on this May 20th and every one after, remember Florida Emancipation Day. Tell someone about this important historical event. Celebrate the courage and resilience of African Americans. Let's never forget the fight for freedom and the amazing story of May 20th. Keep the history fire burning.